Hi guys, and welcome to this breakdown of the Module B close study of text, MT Anderson's feed. I thought in this particular breakdown, I'm sorry for being a couple of weeks late, usually I post my analysis and breakdowns about 4 weeks into the course. It is a bit late, I've been working on other things, I'm sorry about that, but hopefully you'll get some value out of this one. So as you know, with all of my videos, I pretty much do them in one take, mistakes and all. I try and do all my analysis ad lib, and I try to challenge myself a little bit doing it that way. So there will be some errors here and there, but hopefully you'll get something out of it. So in this time, I've actually tried to break down a question and give you my views on answering it. In this instance, I have used one of my favorite sites. It's a great site. I urge you to go and have a look at it. It's the Art of Smart site, and they do a great job in assisting students maximize their HSC results. So I've gone with question 2. I've just typed in, as you can see there, Module B essay practice questions for standard English. And there's a bunch of questions. My class has already answered question 1. And I looked at question 2. I thought it was a little bit tricky. I know you might be well advanced, but in terms of my class, it might have given them a few challenges, so to speak. So I thought, let's try and break this question down. So, looking at that very carefully, it says, in your text, how is the presentation of characters and their relationships used to convey memorable ideas? Look, I thought that this question was multifaceted. I thought it was certainly had a lot of components to it, which would make it quite difficult. And certainly it wouldn't, well, I know, some teachers don't like saying this, but I say what I believe, and I don't think you could answer this question appropriately in 2 pages. I think it's multidimensional and require a fair bit, regardless of your language control and your fluency and the accuracy of writing. I think you will be challenged to write a good answer to this question in 3 pages. Nevertheless, let's have a look. So, how is the presentation of characters? First of all, the presentation of characters, okay, and their relationships. Well, first of all, when I see this question anyway, and I can give you my standpoint, and obviously you'll have your own, and your teachers will have their own. This is just my breakdown, but for the most part, when I look at MT Anderson as an author, how does he present his characters? Well, first of all, I think essentially that Violet and Titus are juxtaposed, and they're juxtaposed for a reason. Okay? They give you 2 different views of the world. Inherently, I think you're meant to find connective points between both characters. So there'll be a lot in it for you to try and maybe contrast these characters in a Teal analysis and maybe talk about their inherent differences, their similarities, and how you relate to them. Okay? I will also actually show you, when I have the chance, a milder response I did to this question as my class was doing it, and I was urging them to finish quickly. I gave them 1 hour to finish a 3-page answer, which is a lot more than the HSC is going to give you. They somewhat put the challenge on me with saying, listen, this is a hard question, sir. Why don't you give it a go? So I whipped up a quick Teal. It is done off the top of my head, but we'll have a look at it. But anyway, so the presentation of characters. The first thing I see is the juxtaposition of Titus and Violet. I think they're contrasted. I think they have 2 opposing views of the world. And I think they march to the beat of their own drums in different directions, if I can use that awful cliche. So, I think that Violet being a heroine in many ways and the representation of a new path and a sense of enlightenment, a mild sense of rebellion and anarchy even, but she certainly thinks on her own 2 feet, whereas Titus is a representation or a presentation, as the question says, as per MT Anderson puts it, if I can use it horrible English. He depicts him as an awful example of humanity. He almost wants you to look at his failings in many ways and take note of his failings, laugh at them, but also take lots of evasive action, if I could say that, on how Titus sees the world. Now, what else could you say? I'd look at the concept of homeschooling and look at how that idea is presented. I would look at how that idea is presented through the depiction of Violet as a rebellious character. I think that speaks volumes in terms of the key themes of the text and how she fights against multinational corporational greed. Okay, I would look at all of Titus's mistakes and look at how that is presented. Okay, and of course, memorable ideas. Well, of course, homeschooling is a memorable idea. I think the concept of an addiction to social media is a memorable idea. I would think that the hacker as a representation of anarchy is a memorable idea. I think the way the two characters deal with the hacker or think about the hacker will be memorable ideas. It also presents their characters in interesting ways. But of course, when I look at this question, I love the boat painting. I think the boat painting for this question is the one that aptly answers it in terms of if you're looking for a section of the text to focus on. If you're looking for a chapter, I think the chapter is referred to as boring. Okay? And while we're on boring, another element or another part of the chapter, another part of the text, I told you this was ad lib, another part of the text that you could focus on would be the terrarium. Now, I write an analytical piece on the terrarium. If you're looking for that, go on this channel and then go to my first feed video, and you will find it almost 2 years ago now, and you will find it in that video. It's under a different syllabus heading, so it's for an old syllabus, but the breakdown is still valuable for you guys. And it's called the terrarium, and there's so much symbolic value for you. So if I can go back now to this question and have a look at my little answer that I put together for it. Again, guys, I told you, as you can probably hear from a few of my stumbling errors, it's ad lib. So I just put the video on and I just record, and I'm just going a bit like a freestyle rapper. That's probably giving myself too much credit. But what I'm trying to do is I'm just going off the top of my cuff and just analyzing off the top of my head. And that's what I do, and I like to do that because I challenge myself. Okay, so I'm just going to get this video up, or this model analysis, and we'll take it from here. So, all right. So hopefully my editor would have put this up on the board for you, and it'll be nice and clear. It says, M.T. Anderson's presentation of characters is aptly portrayed in and around Titus and his misunderstandings of the boat painting. There can be no doubt as to the author's motivations in this portion of the text, as Titus is defined and depicted by the author. That means that's the presented bit, okay, how it's presented, as somewhat of a catastrophic failure of humanity. That's my inner voice coming through, because in Module B, guys, don't forget, it's really important to have your voice come through. Not your opinion in many ways, maybe your opinion, but your voice and the way you see this must come through, okay? And continuing, his complete and utter failure to comprehend the inner workings of the boat painting and its relevance to the progression of society is a ploy by the author to define his narrator in such a way as to make a social comment about our nature and how it is being debased by a loss of language and a growing addiction to connectivity. The symbolic value of the painting makes heavy comment about society's inability to progress, as the depiction of a flawless boat without a crew is a reflection on the progression of our species floating aimlessly without a rudder for guidance. Anderson highlights that without valid communication and genuine connection between one another, this will be our fate. And this is further endorsed by Titus when he exclaims, I'm just going to scroll now, when he exclaims, I couldn't find anything interesting about the painting. Ironically, Titus's fate is staring back at him, and yet he has not developed the ability to, 1, appreciate the painting, and 2, know that it reflects him in many ways. This is a perfect instance of how Anderson presents his characters to his audience and allows for a relationship with his readers to follow. Okay? That's really important. So if I go back to the question, of course, and their relationships. Guys, don't forget, the biggest relationship for the characters is their relationship with connectivity and me and the actual feed. That's a huge relationship. Stop thinking about such simple relationships as Titus and Violet. I started you off with Titus and Violet, but I want you to progress, pardon the pun, okay? Because that's basically is not what's happening in the feed. They're not progressing as human beings. But I want you to focus on the relationship between the characters and their addiction to the feed. And then, of course, the biggest relationship is your relationship with the characters. How do they move you? This is at a higher level, guys. As you can see, I've taken the most simplistic relationships, that is the two characters against or for each other, then to the feed, and then to the responder. So there are multi-layered levels of relationships in this instance. Okay, so I hope that was some use for you. I hope I didn't read too fast. I hope you got something out of it. As I said, I ad-libbed it off the top of my head, bang, 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 except for, of course, the essay question. But the essay question was ad-libbed too because they just challenged me in class. And I whipped it up in about 5 minutes. So there you go. Guys, please subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye.